In the previous section, we saw Jesus ending up with speaking about judgment. He said, "Judge with right, not by appearance, but with the right judgment." Just a few quick notes still on that. So many Christians believe you're not allowed to judge, but clearly here Jesus didn't say no, you're not allowed to judge. He said you need to judge with the right judgment, so in the right way. Okay, not by appearance, but you need to judge with the right judgment. So as a Christian, you ought to judge. But you ought to judge with the right judgment. Now, unluckily, the majority of Christians judge not with the right judgment, but with appearances, right? They want to get somebody out of church, they judge them. They will always find something wrong. I've seen it, I've been through that. So that is why I think there's an aversion among some people for judging in the church, but it's wrong. There need not be an aversion, but it needs to be done in the right way. Verse 25. Some of the people of Jerusalem therefore said, is not this the man whom they seek to kill? Okay, so remember, Jesus didn't say, "Here I am, I'm Jesus," like, he was there kind of incognito. He was just teaching. And now some of the people start to think, but no, what the kind of things he's saying, this sounds kind of, this guy kind of reminds him of this guy they're seeking to kill. Isn't this the guy who they're seeking to kill? Verse 26, and here he is speaking openly, and they say nothing to him. Can it be that the authorities really know that this is a Christ? Okay, so here Jesus is speaking. He's just saying, he was just speaking to the leadership, those coming to question him, and he was speaking about how these Pharisees, Sadducees there, the people around them, they hear all these things. They see that Jesus actually has the right answers, and these guys can't say anything back to them. Okay, that would imply they don't have the right answers. Okay, right? So helicopter flying over us. People trying to get fast to wherever they need to go. Okay, so why are they saying anything? Okay, so they can see what is going on. So their conclusion then is maybe they kind of know that this is a Christ, or they kind of secretly thinking this is a Christ, or they know that this is a Christ. Okay, again, back to knowledge, knowing that this is a Christ. And I think these guys have a very strong point here, and I think actually the Pharisees and Sadducees, the Jews, right, that's how Jesus called them here, that they actually did know. Right, but they know it's a light, but the deeds are dark. Chapter 1, chapter 3. And so they didn't want to accept the light. They didn't want to accept that he is the Messiah. Like Jews today, like people today. They know, but they don't want to accept. Okay? Because they don't want to think. They don't want to think. They don't want to think to where what they believe really, truly leads to. People in general just don't want to think anymore. Sad, but true. Okay, so do they know? Really? Yes, they knew. They didn't want to admit to it. And so the people are starting, because they're led by them. They have been taught by them, right? These are the teachers to whom John wrote. So, if they know, and maybe it's time for us to kind of fall in with this and start to think like that, because they teach us and what they say is right, so maybe, right? Verse 27, but we know where this man comes from, and when the Christ appears, no one will know where he comes from. Yeah, right. We know where he comes from. When the wise men in the Gospel of Luke came there, in Matthew. Yeah, in Matthew. When the wise men came to Jesus in Matthew, right? Herod and the guys come around and they say, where will the Messiah be born? And they came up with, in Bethlehem. Right? Here, like, oh, when the Messiah comes, we won't know where it's coming from. But there, clearly, from the Old Testament, they could discern that he will be from where the Messiah will come, where he will be born. Bethlehem, right? Like, how do you put this together? Or did they mean when he's older and then we won't know? When he's young, yeah, and they're only speaking of that. Yeah, that's a possibility. But even that, right, there is prophecies concerning where the light will come from, right, where the Messiah, light will start shining. So they're contradicting here in the sense of, we know where this guy is coming from because, I mean, we are from the north and he grew up amongst us. But the Messiah, we don't know where he's from. Okay, he's going to come from Mars, or maybe Venus, or maybe Jupiter. We have no idea where it's going to come from. Okay, you know, that's not true. That's not true. They knew where it would come from. They would deny it. Like they have this knowledge, really, actually they had the knowledge of Jesus, but they denied it. They didn't want to believe it. They didn't want to admit to it, because then they can't seek their own glory anymore. Then you're just still seeking the glory of the one who sent Jesus, like Jesus did, the Father, and not their own glory. But no, they were not ready for that, because that means money loss, power loss, prosperity. I mean, all these things. You know, again, plain prosperity gospel or liberation theology, doesn't matter. All the same idea, right? Communism, they're all the same thing. It's about me, right? So that, like I say, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others, right? Animal Farm, for those who don't know. Okay, so yeah, we know. We won't. But that's not true. They're lying.